Good morning. Ooh, you want to take a deep breath with me? It is a little bit warm in here. We are working on air conditioning kinds of things, but just take a breath. And pretend the breath is a cool breeze. And allow the cool breeze to move in you. And just know that when we're talking about love, which we are today, that love can sometimes be hot, right? Radical love can sometimes be really hot. Because we don't want love that's cool, do we? Right? We want it to keep us energized. So this morning... All right, I can always count on Jamie. I can always count on Jamie. Oh, well, come on, I wasn't going to say that in front of everybody. The service is about universalism, which is the second part in our name, the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. So this morning, we are going to open our service singing about love. I mean, we are certainly living in a time when, we have to imagine that there is more love somewhere. This song comes out of the African American tradition, where there was a looking forward because love wasn't right there. And so this morning we're gonna sing in the tradition of longing and move toward fulfillment. I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing with me. It's number 95 in your gray hymnal. But you know what? It's kind of a zipper song, so you don't really need your hymnal because I can even call it out. So you go ahead and sing with me.
Good morning. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm no matter who you are, whom you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we are so glad you're here, you're with us. I'm Julia Beckman. My pronouns are she and her. I'm pleased to be with you as the worship associate today. And our music is going to be provided by the inimitable Jamie Passman.
I don't know what that means.
Well, good, I'm glad you don't, okay. If you are visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book. Also, members and friends, to help people connect, remember to wear your name tag, and mine is in the car, tagged with your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, you can request that back in the living room at the visitors table. All are invited to stay after the service for coffee downstairs in the Alice Warren room. Visitors and newer folks are invited to pick up a green mug so that we know to welcome you and to get to know you better. If you'd rather we not get to know you better, pick up another mug. We recognize that individuals of all ages and abilities have different needs during the service. In the living room at the back of the sanctuary, we provide a cart of fidgets and drawing supplies. If at any point you feel the need for movement, this is for any age, please feel free to get. Jamie has to go back and get a fidget. We'll wait. Oh my God, we're not off to a good start here. Anyway, if at any point you feel the need for movement, please feel free to get up, grab a fidget, engage in drawing. May you each know you are welcome in this house of peace, and may our worship and fellowship this morning touch your heart, mind, and spirit. Now for you.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then call Pam up for that. Yep. That's all right.
You threw me off. There's always a lot going around in the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday, and there are printed copies available. If you'd like to receive News and Notes, please stop by the welcome table again and give us your email, and then you will be on the email list. Are you looking for deeper connections here at the church? Would you like to engage in a theme deeply while exploring with others? If so, we invite you to join Reverend Beth and Matt Brown for an introduction to our Covenant Group program today after the service across the way in our RE building in the Joshi Chapel. I have been in one of those groups. It's really wonderful to be part of it. There's been a large increase of federal immigration agents, in case you didn't know, in the Chicagoland area this month due to the administration's Operation Midway Blitz. Do you know what to do if you see ICE? How do we educate our vulnerable neighbors to keep them safe from ICE harassment and detainment? Alicia Obando from the Second Unitarian Church will be leading a Know Your Rights training on Zoom on Monday, that's tomorrow, September 29th at 7 p.m. If you want to educate yourself and your community, sign up to attend this informative workshop by contacting Alicia at aliciaobando@sbcglobal.net. You don't need to remember that. There are flyers in the living room and in the social hall with her email. I've signed up and I'm really looking forward to it for sure. And now we have a special announcement from Pam Fodor.
Slip on your ruby slippers. Literally ruby slippers. And click your heels together 3 times. And say, there's no place like home.
There's no place like home.
Transport yourself to the Land of Oz and our fall auction on Saturday, November 15th. There's no other place like our church home, and we need to fund it by raising $20,000. We need everyone in Oz to help make this a success. Donate something. Ask a business you frequent to offer a donation. Buy a ticket to attend. Volunteer to help out in some way. And attend and bid and have some fun. Beginning today, we will have a table set up downstairs in the Alice Warren room, and we will begin collecting donation sheets. for things like events at your home, like theme parties, dinners, outings, personal services like driving or tech consulting or babysitting, expertise sharing like art and crafting lessons, cooking lessons, handyman services, offer to bake or cook to-go meals during the year, or donate things like theater or sports tickets, memberships to zoos and museums, or restaurant gift cards. And new this year, instead of collecting individual items for silent auction, we will be auctioning off themed baskets. And there are some samples downstairs. One I put together is a pizza party basket. It has everything you need to make pizza, including pizza bingo for the party part. And so we're hoping that each committee or group at church will work together to put together a basket, and that some of you will have some fun putting together a basket of your own. Nancy Kranz, Liz Reyes, and I are the auction chair people this year, and we will be downstairs at the table, and we'll be happy to talk you through some of these great ideas. We encourage you to use your brain to think about a themed basket to donate, open your heart and your home to host a party or dinner, and find your courage to sign up for something new. See you downstairs. There's no place like home.
I'm glad you clapped for that. I was going to do that. Pam Fodor, our director of programs, who is always inspiring, and you're taking off the slippers because I thought I was going to look at them the whole time. You don't have to. Kind of, yeah. Yeah, there is kind of no place like home. And we recognize in this Unitarian Universalist congregation that the doors of this home are open. There is a front door for people to enter into. And while home can seem kind of closed, this is a home for all who are seeking shelter, community, love, and hope. And we begin our service by acknowledging that this home, this Unitarian Universalist congregation here in Hinsdale, in the western suburbs, are on the traditional territories of Indigenous people. As a people trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the history and the legacy of colonialism, the harm done to Native peoples, and also to work to repair that harm as people on this land lost their homes. So it is humbling to know the place that we gather and seek to do justice in this world was occupied by other people. I was going to say belong, but my experience with my Indigenous friends is that the land belongs to everyone. So again, we're thinking about our our Universalist roots today. Back in the spring, you heard about the history of the American Unitarian Association, the 200th anniversary, and we celebrated the merger of the American Unitarian Association, the Universalist Church of America, in May as well. And today we're going to celebrate Universalism Day, which is actually on the 30th. The song that we're about to sing is one that you're familiar with. It's in your hymnal. It's there as Standing on the Side of Love. It's number 1014 in your teal hymnal. However, you are going to see, and we've been singing now for years, numerous years, different lyrics than Standing on the Side of Love. The change was invited by our disabled siblings who invited the composer, Jason Shelton, and all of us to sing lyrics that allowed us to be inclusive. Here's the thing. Jason heartily agreed and then said that he felt like theologically it was better. He liked the message of answering the call of love better than standing on the side of love, as if there's sides. So as we consider our universalist heritage, I invite us to rise in body or spirit, and let's answer the call of love. I want to say before I do the call to worship how grateful I am and blessed that Julia Beckman is joining me as worship associate. Julia is also our choir director, and I get to sing next to Julia, and I don't mess her up. Invite us into worship this morning with words by Reverend Gretchen Haley. First, I want you to take a breath with me. Yeah. Again. Beloved, for this one moment, know that you are loved, that you are safe and whole and loved. Know that you belong here among us, here upon this earth, in your body. However tired or broken your heart may be, whatever fear, disappointment, or anger you carry, for this hour, know that you are not alone. Feel the presence of those around you. Look at the presence of those around you. Surrounding you, breathing beside you and with you. Discovering together the way our voices rise and fall together in harmony, in hope. claim here a resilient freedom. The choice for love, for light, and to live with joy and gratitude and praise as a form of resistance. The choice for love, for light, to live with joy and gratitude and praise as a form of resistance. It is good to be together.
Chalice lighting words are from Dr. Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice each week with a simple spark to make holy our time together. With this flame, may our highest intentions be refreshed. With this flame, may we remember who we are and whose we are. With this flame, may our faith be renewed and reignited to guide our journey. Amen, and may it be so.
Okay, my story today is called John Murray and the Winds of Change. And the wind in this story is both literal and metaphorical. And I'm going to invite you to make the story come alive by being the wind. So let's practice. You can make a sound like wind. You can make your arms go like wind. You could do both. So wind. All right. So each time I say the word wind, that's your cue to be the wind. All right. You never know what the wind will blow in or which way the wind blows. The wind can change direction and maybe change your life. It happened to John Murray. As a young man, John Murray had excellent fortune blow his way. He had a fine education, a steady job, a loving wife, and a young son. Life was good. Then suddenly, everything changed. John Murray's wife and their son became sick and died. And John lost his job, lost all his money, and was put in jail because he could not pay his bills. Now, John was a very religious man, a Universalist, who had even preached about a loving God. Now, he was not so sure what he believed. He felt his life was over. His friends urged him to go somewhere where he could start again. So he boarded a ship and sailed for America on a ship named Hand in Hand. The wind blew the ship towards their destination, New York. But then fog rolled in and the ship ran aground in New Jersey instead. John and a few others volunteered to leave the ship, go on land, and get directions and supplies. As he was walking ashore, John saw a farmhouse with a small chapel or church beside it. This farm, including the chapel, belonged to a man named Thomas Potter. Thomas Potter ran out, greeted John, gave him food for everyone on the ship, and invited John to come back and have dinner with him for the night. When John came back, Thomas Potter showed him the chapel. Thomas Potter said that he also believed in a loving God who wanted to accept all people into heaven. John said that he believed the same thing. Thomas Potter told John a secret, that he had built the chapel and was waiting for God to send him a minister. You, John, are that minister. I have waited a long time for you. John did not want to hear this. He was not a preacher anymore, and he was determined to never preach again. Yet Thomas Potter seemed confident that John was the right Universalist preacher he wanted, and he asked John to preach on Sunday. "No, I will not preach," said John, "because as soon as the wind changes, my boat will set sail and I'll be on it and I'll be out of here." Said Thomas Potter. "If the boat has not sailed by Sunday, will you preach?" "If the wind does not set my boat a sail, I guess I'll preach," said John. And guess what happened? The wind, in fact, did not blow, and the hand in hand did not sail away, and it did not take John Murray with it. So, John Murray, being a man of his word, preached on Sunday morning, September 30th, 1770, in the chapel that Thomas Potter built for him many years before. The Universalist message of the power of love was good news to many who heard it. It was good news for John. The winds of change blew yet again for John Murray. He now wanted to preach more than anything, and he did for many years. He helped find Universalism in America. He is one of the ancestors of our faith home, and we, as Unitarian Universalists, owe a special thanks to Thomas Potter. It was his hospitality that brought John Murray back to the pulpit, and we also owe a special thanks to the wind that blew him in, but did not blow him out. The end. And now you can sing me and my friends to the other building.
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have ever done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. Please join in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with people around us, and with the world. Thank you in advance for your generous gifts.
What a beautiful way to lead into our meditation. I'd like to invite you to take a breath with me, beloved. And just allow the breath once again to bring you into your body, bring you into the place of presence, wind, breath. We share all of those oxygen molecules with one another. And the breath allows us to be present to what is. As we consider all that we have brought with us this morning, beloved, we're going to sing a reminder that there is a love. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all, and I rest in that love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love, and we rest in that love. Will you sing with us? There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. Us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding us. We rest in this love. We'll sing it again, both verses. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in that love. Here we go. Us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding us. We rest in this love. Thank you, Julia. Thank you all. It's a song that's new to us. But I so appreciate that message. The words are taken from the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, who was the president of Star King School for the Ministry, our Unitarian Universalist Seminary in Berkeley. And we began our meditation and our song with the assurance, as we affirmed in our opening song, and John Murray was sure of, and Potter was most definitely sure of, that there is a love holding us. And as we prepare to do joys and sorrows, I want you to imagine that this bowl is the container that holds the love for this moment. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share, I invite you to come up and take a pebble, share with us briefly, and also a reminder that you can drop a pebble in silence. So if you have pardon? Yeah, you can call it out. if you want to call out a joy or sorrow, I invite you to do that. We'll do that at the end because I think that's important. So, here, honey.
Good morning. I'm Paula. I am celebrating a joy. My dad, who many of you know, Dennis, he's back in the living room. It's his birthday tomorrow. He used to say when I was a kid to his students in school that only mortals have birthdays, but his is tomorrow. And we brought some Italian cookies to share for coffee time, so please take some cookies, take some home if you want, because there's a lot. And also, he has solar lights available. He loves it when people take the things that he makes, so please do that.
Hi, I'm Bev, and I also have uplifting news to share. My daughter Alicia is on a medical mission of mercy in Rwanda, Africa. And, oh, you're gonna make me cry. Thank you.
Tell us her name.
Alicia.
I'm Tony. I have a joy and a sorrow. Some of you already know that my mother, Harriet Goff, passed away Monday. I'm at peace, and I'm thankful she's not suffering. Can you, I'm going to steal a line from Reverend Beth, ask you to take a breath with me. And I know many others need to speak, but she passed away peacefully. And I want to thank all of my family and friends for the continuous support that we received. And I especially want to thank you, my church family, for everything that you did for us and for Harriet. Know that she cherished her connection with each of you deeply. You know, she was a member of this church for about 10 years. She moved up here from Kansas. She visited here many times, though, before then. But it makes me say, wow, she was a member for 10 years. How long have I been here? What have I done? But she really did so much, and I love her and miss her. There will be a memorial and celebration this coming spring, but I hope we have some other opportunities and some smaller connections as we navigate through time and reach that moment in spring.
Tony drops his pebble. Which one?
She likes it. She's a ruby gal.
It's a beautiful red stone. Actually, Harriet was also a longtime Unitarian Universalist, however, connected very deeply to First Unitarian in Chicago in Hyde Park.
Yeah, I'm going to miss her. I'm Karen, and I have, it's kind of a joy. I don't know if anybody remembers Melinda Perrin was a longtime member. Hopefully she's on her way home. They went to Paris to visit. She got ill and spent 10 days in a Paris hospital with view of the Eiffel Tower. I guess that was a plus. But she's supposed to come home today, and hopefully there'll be no more interruptions. Thank you.
Well, I will, of course, have a pebble for Harriet, and some ways coupled with that, and just more broadly, I want to drop a pebble in celebration of the exhibit at the Loyola Water Tower campus of Richard Hunt's work. He's a sculptor, African-American, 70-year career with a very, very enduring and effective role in social justice tied to the Emmett Till story. It runs through November 15th. I went yesterday. It was a good journey.
I'm Stan. I have a joy and a sorrow together. My joy is that next week starts Band Book Week. So go out and buy a band book or share a band book. And my sorrow is that there has to be a Band Book Week.
Yep. Maybe Stan will start the band book club.
Hi, I'm Gene. I'm going to drop 2 stones, one for my Aunt Christine, who is entering hospice as of yesterday. She's had a really rough year, both in terms of family and her health, and another one for my mom, who's been taking care of her, along with her mother, Christine's sister, and her husband. So hopefully her load, unfortunately, gets a little bit lighter, but thoughts and prayers to her.
I'm Gail, and I have 2 joys. My son and my daughter both had birthdays this week.
I'm Jay, and my girlfriend was just diagnosed with breast cancer.
Can you tell us her name so we can pray for her?
Florence.
Florence. Those joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Holy One moving in, through, and among us, in our personal joys, our sorrows, our celebrations. You move through us as well in our longings for not only ourselves and our beloveds, but for our world, for all who are suffering, all who are afraid, for all of the wars and the genocides and the authoritarianism that we face. We know that our joys and sorrows are intermingled. And so we pause in this moment, holding it all, knowing that there is a love holding us and holding all that we love. Knowing that in this moment when we acknowledge the love that has birthed the hope and the desire for peace within us, that love is within us. We share that love not only with one another, but with the world, and we do so with abandon. As we have our hope for this world, we have our hope for what could be, as we hope for winds of change in our own lives and in the lives of those we care about and in this world. We hope and pray for faith in that love when all seems lost. And you, each of you, know this. You are always and everywhere held in love and mystery, deeper than you can know. Somewhere there is more love, more peace, more hope, more joy. As we consider this anniversary of John Murray's important sermon Isn't that a fabulous story? I mean, and it actually really happened. Thomas Potter really lived. John Murray actually suffered the fates that he did in England, where he was also persecuted for his Universalist message. As we consider what does it mean for us as Unitarian Universalists to embody that aspect of our tradition, the universalism that's claimed us. Remembering, and Ron Solberg, who's our historian, and I are just working out, looking for documentation, but we know that it happened, that on that property next door, where the RE and office building is, there was first a Universalist church. Yeah, there was a Universalist church. There was a minister in the community whose preaching was too liberal. So, of course, that's what happened, by the way, for our Unitarian and our Universalist forebears. That's how there ended up being these two separate denominations, the American Unitarian Association, the Universalist Church of America, because these messages were too heretical, because that's where we come from. So there was a Universalist church here, and the minister preached for a time, and the building stood empty, and then children were playing in the building, and the building burned down. So over there were embers of universalism. So imagine that the winds, you did it for Pam, the winds, thank you, can blow that universalism and that history right here in this room, because that is what we'll embody and talk about today. The Reverend Pat McLaughlin, who was the co-chair of the search committee that settled me at my last congregation, went into seminary, and that's actually where I'll be in about 10 days, officiating at his son's wedding. Well, Pat was quite the lay preacher. In fact, everybody said, Pat, you should go to seminary. I told his call story once, and he was like, do I have to? And that's what the call does, and that's what love does. Well, in his lay preacher days, Pat wrote what he called the Universalism Rap that gives us a bit of the history of Universalism. Some of this is going to be familiar because you heard some of it from Pam. If you go back to the 2nd century, Origen preached to folks like you and me, saying God doesn't hate, God's all about love, and salvation happens when push comes to shove. It says love is patient, love is kind. We know love is crazy and can be kind of blind. It says love is forgiving, it sure isn't hate. Even devils are forgiven when it gets real late. It makes plain sense, said Hosea Ballou. Eternal punishment just can't be true. So he wrote it and he preached it in the 19th C and made a whole lot of people crazy. It's a crazy idea. In the end, love wins, and God's looking forward to forgiving sins. It's a crazy idea, being loved so well, no one in the end gets damned to hell. He wasn't alone. There was John Murray, who reads like Job in the Bible story. His family all died. He was jailed for debt, so his country and his pulpit and his faith he fled. His ship stuck off New Jersey at Good Luck Point, where he met a man, Potter, who owned a joint, a church he'd built for someone to come preaching universal salvation. He knew about the teaching. Murray was done. I've gone to be on the sea. Potter insisted, there'll be no breeze. I know God sent you to here in this church to fill, and Murray preached, because on Sunday it was still. It's a crazy idea. In the end, love wins, and God's looking forward to forgiving sins. It's a crazy idea being loved so well. No one in the end gets damned to hell. Like Jesus planting mustard in the parable field, this wild idea that all souls get healed, but most who preach it find that they get the sack, but universalism just comes back. It's a gospel of inclusion that some teach, or final reconciliation must be preached. They're just different words for God's great scheme. Everyone's included in the final dream. It's a crazy idea. In the end, love wins, and God's looking forward to forgiven sins. It's a crazy idea being loved so well. No one in the end gets damned to hell. So follow the logic. When you teach God's love, your attention isn't just on heaven above, because heaven's on earth, wherever love's found, and everywhere we go is holy ground. Because the truth's not held in just one place. God's been talking to the whole human race. There's not one truth. There's just one way. There's not going to be any judgment day, because heaven's on earth, wherever love's found, and everywhere we go is on holy ground. Oh yes, heaven's on earth, wherever love's found, and everywhere we go is on holy ground. It's a crazy idea. In the end, love wins, and God's looking forward to forgiven sins. It's a crazy idea being loved so well, no one in the end gets damned to hell. It's a crazy idea being loved so well, no one in the end gets damned to hell. Nuh-uh, no hell. Amen. When I see Patrick in a couple of weeks, I will tell him I shared with you. As you've heard, universalism was a radical doctrine in colonial America, where the prevailing Calvinist belief was predestination and eternal damnation for the unsaved. Now, one of the things that it's kind of hard, I think, for us moderns and postmoderns to imagine. Can you imagine that you don't know what you know now? That your theological thoughts, your beliefs, all the education that you had, just imagine that you imagined, that you felt that there were some people who were chosen before the beginning of time to go to heaven, and some were not. Now imagine that. And imagine that no one knew whether you were one of the elect or not. Can you imagine what that would feel like? Now, can you imagine what it would feel like and what it would do when you heard that universalist preacher preach from the scriptures that God's not damning everyone to hell? Can you imagine that? There was a universalist preacher, Shillen Quinn, and he was the itinerant preacher, one of our first community itinerant preachers, who rode all around, seeding churches, preaching this good news. Everybody in, nobody out. The movement was spurred by these preachers who challenged the idea of eternal torment. George de Benneville, a French Huguenot immigrant who was also almost executed for his beliefs in France, was a physician and also a lay preacher. And he preached his universalist gospel, the everlasting gospel, in Pennsylvania, and he influenced other preachers. De Benneville wrote this: "The spirit of love will be intensified to godly proportions when reciprocal love exists between the entire human race and each of its individual members. Love must be based on mutual respect for the differences in color, language, and worship, even as we appreciate and accept with gratitude the differences that tend to unite the male and female of all species. We do not find those differences obstacles to love." Can you imagine that being a heretical message then? Can you see how it's a heretical message now? In a time when empathy and love are seen as weak, our universalist forebears were embodying this, preaching it, and doing that at the risk and the reality of being excluded. But you cannot deny a message of love and love's embrace. And that's why universalism spread. You heard Murray's story. Murray had a certain way. There are two types of universalist teaching. Universalism has has different sections and different phases that it went through early on. Murray was what was called a restorationist, and that meant that there would be some time when people would be punished, but then in the end, they go to heaven. Hosea Ballou also believed that, but then came to, and there were debates. Can you imagine if me and Swamini and our preacher friends all had these debates and wrote in journals about how we disagree with each other? I mean, that's really what it was like. I don't think I'd disagree with Swamini very much, though. Hosea Ballou came to the theology that is called ultra-universalist, meaning what? Everybody in, nobody out. He converted to that belief, and he, really, these are folks who are examining the Calvinist tenets and saying, I don't see scriptural foundation for this. And of course, what do you think would be the consequence for people who are holding on to those beliefs? What did they said, how could people be good if there was not a threat of hell? I'm looking at a bunch of really good people right now. So there was an understanding that human beings could choose the good, which was very much the legacy of our Unitarian forebears. The Universalists, the historian David Robinson wrote, their role as intellectual mavericks and social protesters, uneasy with the established order of things, has been part of our continuing identity to this day. Denominational organization was primarily congregational, although the Universalists found a separate organization, not quite the same as the Unitarians, which you've heard about. But they had a profession of faith, a belief in the revelation of the Bible, the certainty of eventual salvation, the moral imperative of good works. Now, there is a moral imperative for good works. There is the idea that as people of faith and living out this love, the natural extension of that was to care, was to hope, was to care for the community. By the 20th century, early 20th century, the social interpretation of religion came to the fore. Clarence Skinner was a prominent Universalist educator and minister. Think Skinner House Books, the imprint of the UUA. And in 1917, he drafted the Declaration of Social Principles. He wrote this in his secretaryship of the Universalist Service Commission, which began in 1910. It was adopted by the Universalist General Convention, and it stressed the fact that evil is the result of unjust social and economic conditions, and called for a religion that addressed those conditions. Let me say that again. Back in 1917 and even prior, Universalism and Unitarianism stressed the fact that evil is the result of unjust social and economic conditions. Among the strikingly prophetic list of recommendations in that report, Robinson writes, was a call for a more democratic division of the land and industry, equal rights for women, social insurance, and world federation. For Skinner, true universalism was of this world. It was economic and social as well as spiritual. Skinner went on to found churches in Boston. He brought in speakers from all over the area, and it was the start of what some congregations have as the open forum following the Sunday sermons, and they also maintained that active social justice committee. Skinner also critiqued like, I love that we lift up Murray and Hosea Ballou and all those, but as we move into the 20th century with universalism, because remember, we've got Unitarianism and we've got universalism running parallel. And they're flirting with each other. They're thinking, like, we should really probably get together, but there were some questions. The Unitarians shifted more after the Transcendentalists to some were Christian, but a less Christian identity. And the Universalists, while having this theology of universalism, retained their Christian identity for longer. So there were other things, but both were involved in all of the social justice issues of their time. So they were flirting for a little while. And what they came to is this idea not only that in the end love wins, love has to win and be embodied in the moment. Skinner critiqued the excessive past reliance of liberals on pure individualism. And this was really aimed in response to the Unitarians with their focus on individualism. In his Religious and Greatness in 1945, he called for a universalism that was not only religious, but economic, racial, political, social, and scientific. It called for an enlightened, peaceful, progressive world order based on democratic principles. Such a utopian sense of the possibilities of the liberal faith has helped to focus universalist energies on the process of achieving universal social salvation on earth, writes historian Robinson. So can we see the trajectory of universalism? Doctrinal, having a notion of some type of universal salvation, retaining their Christian identity, but then being exposed to the broader religious landscape at the world parliaments of religions, where Unitarians and Universalists were both present and spoke. And the Universalists began to think in terms of the universality of all religion. And then the universality of love, that there is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. Unitarian Universalist ethicist and theologian Sharon Welch considers the impulse toward beloved community. She was the provost at our school, Meadville Lombard. She writes, from within the matrix of beloved community, there's a solid basis for social critique and self-criticism, the life-giving love constitutive of solidarity with the oppressed and love of oneself. Resistance to oppression is often based on a love that transcends the limits of social systems, she writes. A love that leads us to value ourselves more and leads us to hope for more than the established cultural system is willing to grant. Love that is both self-affirming and affirming of others, a love that denounces injustice, heals wounds of exploitation, builds communities of strong individuals. Reading Sharon Welch, a love for the oppressed rather than guilt or duty or self-sacrifice. I'm reminded here of writer, poet Bell Hooks, who wrote, "The moment we choose to love, we begin to move against domination, against oppression. The moment we choose to love, we begin to move towards freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others." In other words, justice is what love looks like in public. Our brother Cornel West reminds us. Some years ago, I met Brazilian educator Paulo Freire speaking at my university years ago. His technique of educating peasants to gain critical consciousness was taken up by Latin American liberation theologians who sought to change the situation of the oppressed. He says this, Because love is an act of courage, not fear. Love is commitment to other people. No matter where the oppressed are found, the act of love is commitment to their cause, to the cause of their liberation. And this commitment, because it's loving, is dialogical. As an act of bravery, love cannot be sentimental. As an act of freedom, it cannot serve as a pretext for manipulation. It must generate other acts of freedom, otherwise it is not love. And so the question that sat with me this week as I delved back into histories and thought about this thing called love, what does that mean as we're faced with a torrent of hate unleashed in the form of ICE and authoritarian policies and genocide? One writer suggests that loving your enemies doesn't mean staying silent in the face of injustice. It means speaking out, correcting what needs to be corrected, using whatever voice you have to amplify the voices of those who would be silenced. Loving your enemy doesn't mean calling for cheap nonviolence that only serves to preserve the current power structure. It means in engaging purposeful acts of resistance, dedicating yourself to the work of advocacy and solidarity, and showing up when it counts. And this is what I see 9 miles away or so in Broadview, as beloved ones are putting their love and their bodies into action. I've found my universalism tried in these times, my friends. I have said more than once, it's hard being a universalist at times. And yet, my forebears, who I believe I hold their vision in my mind and heart and body, I realize that we're called to thwart, we're all rather caught in systems that thwart love. We are all caught in systems that thwart love. That includes even the perpetrators of harm. It's extremely difficult at times when you're being confronted with tear gas and pepper bombs to say they are caught too. In my finer moments, I can hold that. I hear the voice of Nelson Mandela asserting that the oppressor and the oppressed must be liberated. Perhaps that is the only manifestation of the love that I have, is that the oppressor must be liberated from their hate so the oppressed are free. To continue to the work of my universalist forebears, to bring that love into all spheres of our lives and our work, and to live that vision of freedom for all. May it be so. Amen. And I love you. Invite you, because in the end, love wins. I invite you to join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, nor the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. These words are attributed to John Murray, probably not his, but they've been ensconced as the essence of universalist thought. Go out into the highways and byways of America, your new country. You may possess only a small light, but uncover it. Let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of people. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Do not push them into deeper theological despair, but preach the kindness and everlasting love of God. Beloved, however you understand the holy, whether you name it God, you name it the spirit of life, you name it this cosmos or this earth, may we go forth into the highways and the byways in our lives and preach the everlasting truth of love. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and let us, we're gonna Can we rise, or what do you want us to do? Yeah, rise away. Rise away, y'all.
For my closing piece today, I'd like to include you. I'd like you to help me out, please. We're going to do Love Will Guide Us. We'll do number 1, number 3, and number 1. And first of all, clap with me.
Okay, you can do it.
Okay, now make the 4th one louder. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, I feel you for that. Hold on.
Not ready yet. Wait, he's going to do it for us. Beloveds, in the words of our Unitarian Universalist Christians, go out now and love the hell out of this world. Hi.